Great. Even better. 8 pages. How are the freshmen? Are they any good? There's no Patrick Stars.
That's it.
Nice. Freshmen
Great, so
play in time.
I assume our test is Wednesday then?
Between playing in time.
Correct.
Okay.
How you doing, Mr. Chandler?
I am good. How are you?
I'm alright.
Tenor, isn't it just like 1, 2, 3, 4 spot?
Ooh.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 spot.
What?
No, like.
Oh.
It's like.
Yeah, there's actually like a girl in the background too that I had up this morning. But then I think she might have been giving him the middle finger, so I blocked that out.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
I did it last year.
It was very blurry, and I didn't even notice at first.
Oh, tenor 6, tenor 9.
Figured I better.
Yeah. Might as well.
Is this
Ooh, dang it.
is this a review, all these papers?
All those are reviews.
Alright.
We will talk about them in about 3 minutes.
Excuse me.
You would have so much fun.
Brian's first care of my heart.
Really? Over iPad?
All right.
I cannot even say
All here.
Yeah, Faye-Faye's getting it. I honestly, I don't.
Of course, Faith is gonna be.
Not next year, yeah.
Hey.
I wasn't here yesterday because I'd uploaded. I won't be here tomorrow.
I know.
So what am I missing?
She has no competition at her star. Did you get her Patrick Game?
Oh, yes, that's what it was. I knew that was the last name. I just couldn't remember like what the last name was. Y'all bullied the shit out of him. I said y'all bullied the shit out of him.
No, he's not. We just call him Patrick.
Somebody else was calling him something else ridiculous too.
That's not us.
I don't remember.
I just call him Patrick Star. Like if Patrick Star were to start doing lessons and start getting better, it'd probably be safe there. But you know, when your dad's the clarinet professor, it's not hard. When you have a literal tutor who always you going in or
Some of us.
some of
Kind of
us.
seems like an absolute. But, right? There's just too many.
What do you think about that?
All right, time for the bell, and Christian's not in the seat.
I had a minute left.
He did not.
Watch yourself.
Okay, so I need y'all to make sure that you're clear with the directions here because this is a slight change from what I told you guys last time. So what our original plan was last class was we were going to look at the test review today. You've had the test review for like almost 2 weeks now, I think, because I had you do the back page and I didn't tell you a binder number, so there's a 2-page somewhere in your binder that you only have done the back page for. So my plan was for us to work on the first 3 pages, which is where it talks about rational functions, and then test next class, which would be Monday, because this is a B week. But there was a couple different things that came up. Number one, I wasn't able to be in here today during first period. We were doing some more math interviews for next year, and it didn't make sense for me to make them do the test review and then take the test on Monday without me being there for the test review. I didn't feel like that was going to be fair. Secondly, I know some of you guys have had AP test and your attendance has been a little spottier than normal. Third, the way we're going to do things really just is going to give you 2 more calendar days, and it's actually going to squeeze in a little bit of practice. So I think it's going to be a win-win. So what I had you guys pick up today, all 4 of those pages make up the semester test review. Like first semester, even if you think you're exempting, you're planning on exempting, that is one of our requirements, that you do complete that. So I like that I'm getting it to you a little bit earlier. So especially if you think you're going to exempt, just try to chip away 5 or 10 questions a day, and then by the time it's time to turn it in, you'll be basically done. But for us today, I would like you to focus first on questions 33 through 44. The reason why I'm saying that is because those are the questions from 2.5 and then the rational stuff, 2.6 and 2.7. So any of that you're struggling with is what you're going to have a test on this time next week. So we'll do the test review next Monday. We're pushing it back a day. So we're pushing back the test a day. That'll make it next Wednesday. But anything that you're struggling with 33 through 34 is likely to show up on that last unit exam. So you need to prioritize that first, please. And I will be able to give you at least 1 more full class period to work on the semester test review. But once you're done with those, you should really aim to get as much of it done as you can, just so you're doing less outside of class at some point. I feel like this is probably not pertinent information just yet, but like first semester, we will allow a note card. Has to be standard size. I have extras, but you don't need it yet. But when the time comes, you can borrow one of mine. But it's got to be standard 3" by 5". Has to be handwritten, but unlike first semester, it can be written on front and back. Calculator on the whole final, and it can replace a low test grade, like first semester. So the semester test will go in as a 50-point test, and if that scores higher than one of your previous tests this semester, then I will take whatever you had on that test and replace it with the semester test grade. So how much that can impact your grade really just has a lot of variables. Depends on what your lowest test grade was, what your average test grade is, but we've got a class period to make some progress there. Diego, you had a question?
When is the exemption cutoff?
When is the exemption cutoff? Like to apply? I don't know. It hasn't even started to apply yet.
Like when is finals week? Is that next week? Or the week after next week?
Yes. Exemption stuff, we'll worry about that at the end because it's tied to tardies, attendance, grade, and so like your grade could be above 80 right now, but after this test it might drop below 80. So I'm not going to say that you're exempt and then have to come back and refigure all that stuff out. Or maybe you have just barely too few of absences where you could exempt, but then by the time the final comes around you have too many. So we'll worry about that when it gets closer. But you will have to do the final review anyway, so especially those of you that have some AP classes, if they're slowing down and not doing much, this at least gives you the opportunity to start tackling it and getting it done so you have one less thing to do before the year's done. AJ, did you have a question?
I was going to ask you how many absences it
It's either less than 8 or no more than 8. I don't remember. It's on AP Class or Google Classroom. I posted it at the beginning of the semester so y'all could see that, because it was tightened up a little bit from first semester, and we put a tardy requirement on there too. Okay, so I don't feel like a lot of that's important right now. No card stuff, grade replacement stuff, how to exempt, that stuff is still weeks away. But any immediate questions about that you just want to clear up just for your peace of mind? Okay, any questions about our schedule and when this last unit test is and when we're reviewing? Anything with the change in the plan?
What day is it?
Monday we will review, Wednesday we will test.
No. Oh, wait.
If you're asking about the
schedule the same as last semester?
I don't know. I don't know if they've even released it. I think you have 2 finals a day, so you can be done basically at lunch each day. So if you need to study for something, you have the afternoon to do that. But which test or which day, I don't know yet. It should be showing up in your student announcements. So if you guys check that and check your emails, then you'll probably see it before I do. But again, that's weeks away. So, and also just like first semester, I know it's been a while, but the school is not allowed to give early finals. So like that finals week, Monday is no finals. So you can't come and take your final early on Monday. But the flexibility that I can give is if you don't have a 0-hour A day, a 0-hour B day, or a first period, I have pre-cal classes those days, and I'm giving the same test those days. So if it's more convenient for you to come to those and they're earlier, not later than ours, then that's an option that you could take. But I can't give you a final before the finals start. Okay, so if you would, go ahead and start looking at questions 33 through 44. Let's make sure that we're feeling okay with that stuff. Again, this is 2 birds, 1 stone. It's getting part of your final exam review done, which you need to do anyway, but also getting a little bit more practice on this last unit before we get to that test. So I'm going to give you a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, to get a few questions under your belt. And then I will start asking for some questions. Priority to questions 33 through 44. Now, I guess since you do know that there's a note card, as you guys get to something, I really hope that, if it's in question 33 through 44, you don't feel like you need to add it to a note card, because you're going to have to test on it next Wednesday without a note card. But once you get past that stuff, if you start doing some of the law of sines, law of cosines on the front page, and you remember, hey, I didn't memorize those formulas, you might jot those down on a separate sheet of paper so that you remember to put it on a note card. Maybe when you get down to question 4, Heron's formula, if you realize that you have forgotten what it was, you don't have it memorized anymore, you might jot it on the same piece of paper so when it comes time to make your note card, you can just copy it over. But just a suggestion, not a requirement. Okay, so I'm going to let you get some stuff done, and I'll bug you here in about 15 minutes for questions. Okay, that has been 15 minutes, so hopefully you got a handful done. So starting with, again, my focus, which would be questions 33 through 44, the ones that will be on your next test this time next week. Which ones did you try and want a reminder on? Number 34. Okay. All right, 34 says we have a polynomial of degree n has at most how many real zeros and at most how many relative extrema. Okay, so when it says that the polynomial is degree n, it just means like the function, the x with the biggest exponent, that exponent is an n. So the fundamental theorem of algebra tells us if it's degree n, then what else do we know?
There's n number of zeros.
It's going to have n zeros. So what would be the max number of real zeros? N. So they don't all have to be real zeros, but it couldn't have more than that. And then for relative extrema, do you remember what relative extrema means? Points on the graph what?
The highest points.
Okay, so maxes and mins. Okay. Maxes and mins are what are extrema. So look at these two examples that I drew. What degree do you think these are? I'm sorry?
2.
Okay, it's a degree 2, it's a quadratic. And how many extrema did it have? 1 for this guy and then 1 for this guy. If I did a cubic, he might look like this. There you go. So it's the degree, which we're calling generic number n, minus 1, would be the most number of relative extrema. So same thing, it doesn't have to have that many, but it could have up to that many turning points. If it's degree 5, it could be changing directions 4 times at the most, so you could have 4 extrema. If it's degree 2, it's going to have to turn around once, so you only have 1 extrema. So the degree minus 1 tells you the most number of maxes and mins that you could have. Okay, you remember that now? Okay, besides 34, what else y'all got?
36.
Okay, so 36. Long division. Okay, did you set it up like this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is completely optional, but I'm going to throw it out as a suggestion. This is really important when you do synthetic division. With long division, it's an option. There's no x squareds, so I don't know if this will help or not, but it doesn't hurt you to say that there's no x squareds there. Now it's like everything is kind of in order. So the first part of your answer should be what?
3x.
Okay, because 3x times x squared gives us 3x cubed. And then 3x times 1 is 3x. Should I put that here? Yeah, probably not. We probably don't want to line it up with the x squareds. We probably want to line it up with the other x's. And then the most forgotten thing is that you're really subtracting all of this. So change the signs and add. No x squareds is still no x squareds. I don't need to copy that down. And you're okay to that point?
Yes, okay.
Okay. So the thing times x squared that gives you x, well, that would have to be a fraction with x in the denominator, which we're not interested in. So the answer to this is almost 3x But what else do we need?
Or X minus 1.
Okay.
X minus
Now I thought that the remainder didn't matter.
1. That's some stuff.
Oh, yeah, that. I read that. I forgot about that.
Okay, so more specifically, remainder doesn't matter if you're doing slant asymptote, but if you're just dividing, then the remainder is needed. Remainder, always add the remainder over the divisor. The only case where it doesn't matter about the remainder is slant asymptotes. Okay, did anybody else need to ask about 36? Have anything more specific about it? Okay, somebody else have another one? 33 through 44?
On 37, when you're doing synthetic division, what do you do with the remainder?
Same thing that we did before.
So it'd be, mine was 9, so it'd be plus 9 over x minus 2.
Honestly, I don't know. I'll have to give me a 30-second head start here. Okay, so to divide by x minus 2. Now, I'll be honest with you on the final exam. If we ask you to do this, you can pick the method that you want, but it's good for you to practice a little bit of both. So, the number that makes this equal to 0 is what you put in the top left. Then you got to put these numbers in order. The ones I'm most worried about are these. There's no x to the cubes and no x's. While I just mentioned that in long division it was optional, it is not optional in synthetic division. Everything has a very specific place. So add and multiply, add and multiply, add and multiply, add and multiply, add. You got the same numbers as me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it was x to the 4th. We divided out an x, so now this represents the number of x cubes. The next one would be x squareds. The next one would be x's. The next one would be the constant. And just like long division, the remainder has to be put over the divisor. The divisor is not 2. Putting this 2 out here is just part of the synthetic setup. X minus 2 is still the divisor. Yep. Okay, anybody else that was going to ask about 37? Want to ask anything more specific before I slide it away? Okay, maybe one or two more people who've not had a chance to ask one yet. Okay, anybody who has asked one, have one or two more? Okay, then let me give you another 10 to 15 minutes tops, and I'll give you a chance to ask some more questions. Now again, since you guys still have a unit test over this, these questions you guys are asking and the things that you didn't think of, you might want to write out in words, give yourself a descriptor, give yourself some sort of something to look back at and review. Might be appreciated for yourself before our test on Wednesday. Yeah. I planned on you just working on the semester test review, but if you're concerned about the next test, I guess that's fine if you do the other. Okay, that was 12 minutes, so hopefully you found another question or two. Again, I'm trying to just stick with 33 through 44 for now. Make sure that we get all those questions answered first, and then if we have time for other questions, then that would be great too. Alright, so what can I help with? You guys are good on the rational functions? Holes, x-intercepts, y-intercepts, vertical asymptotes, horizontal asymptotes, slant asymptotes, all that stuff? You already know all of that?
I'm just working through it. I don't know what questions I have at the moment.
Okay. Well, it might be a good idea to check in once in a while with the solutions on the website. I don't want you to have to go back and redo a ton of stuff. Okay, I'll reset our timer then. Still got about 35 minutes of class, so still a ton of time to get more done.
You should drop some merch for your YouTube channel.
Some what?
Merch. Like t-shirts, Townsend Cafe.
That doesn't seem like a good business investment.
I mean, I'd buy it.
Yeah, you probably got to get like 100 or so people to buy something to make it even worth it.
But would you buy? You could. Tell him. He wouldn't buy her merch.
I wouldn't buy it either.
Well, make it interesting. It doesn't just have to be like math. You should have like a little mascot.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not an artist.
You can hire someone.
And now I'm paying money?
You can, like, if you hire somebody good, you could. You should start drop shipping.
Do you know what that means?
Isn't it like where you hire someone to like make design and you hire another person, and then like they do all this stuff for you?
That sounds shady.
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
It's all over.
I just feel like you don't know what it means. I don't know what it means, but
I don't either.
I wouldn't use it.
It's like third-party manufacturing and stuff, but
Like what, having a distributor kind of do it for your.
Yeah.
You have a business, something like you sell your
like, people are
products.
making millions off drop shipping if they do it right. Though it is shady on some parts, you have to make sure you hire the right people.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
I thought you meant hire someone.
Basically, you're hiring like party distributors and manufacturers, and they handle all your product. You just tell them the idea, and you know.
And then if it's a good idea, then they just go and create their own company with my stuff.
No, because you own that. You patent it.
So then I have to spend money taking them to court to get my money.
No. That's why you hire the right people. You can't just hire like Billy Bob down the road who sells crack to kids.
I think if Billy Bob's doing that,
You know-
he's probably doing fine on money.
Billy Bob's got enough money already.
He's a hustler.
He doesn't want to get overexposed.
I'm just saying.
I think he needs to.
I think you need to take some business classes.
That's what dropshipping's for. They do it all for you.
Hey, why don't you go do drop shipping if you like know so much about it? There's millions to be made.
Well, like, you know,
Well,
I wanna
you
go out
know,
my
it's
way
actually
to,
really
like,
stupid, so like,
I wouldn't do it personally. It's like, I am in no shape to run a business. I know nothing about it. Cause you gotta advertise on your own.
you were just going out here acting like you're like Bill Gates, and now you're like, no, I don't know anything.
You know, if I had applied myself to this situation, I would have a Porsche right now.
Okay, buddy.
You'd be jelly at my Porsche.
Why don't you do it and then show us?
Alright, I'll pull up to school 20 years from now in a Porsche.
Okay.
Why are you pulling up to a school?
I'm not gonna be here in 20 years, so.
Nobody's gonna be here except random kids.
High school reunion, bro.
see, I don't even have high school reunions.
Yeah. If you follow, well, if you're on Facebook and you follow
What's Facebook?
Fayetteville High School, every once in a while they'll post a picture of everybody that showed up.
Do people
Like-
actually like attend that?
Yeah, there was one last week, like 40-year reunion, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's sad because like half of them are in walkers and like,
Oh.
That's so sad.
but it's out.
I want to not be in a walker.
My
When 60, I
20
wanna
year
be-
was this year.
Were there a lot of rich people?
Did you go?
I did not go. No. Well, part of the reunion is it was like $100 or something.
Oh wow.
You get a tour of the school.
Here?
Yes. So I didn't need that. You go to the football game Friday night. So I could have done that without paying $100. And then they had like a get together at a club. And like
What
that's
kind
where,
of club?
I don't know. Like music, drinks. But
See, this is like when
it's
I
a
think
ripoff money wise.
When I think of high school
drop
reunions,
shipping.
I think of like a movie high school reunions where everybody's like parties and stuff.
Oh, I
If
think
you
of
just
like,
picture things as how they are in movies, you're gonna like.
I mean, yeah, because like I've never seen a high school reunion. I stayed in the hotel with my grandma went through like 60th high school reunion.
So-
My philosophy is if I wanted to see those people, then they would be part of the people who I keep up with.
You know, I would probably just go to shop like a cool Porsche from dropshipping.
That's like the shittiest, douchiest thing you can do.
He's gonna drop ship a Porsche.
And what, no, you don't dropship a Porsche.
What type of person like goes to a high school reunion? Like, look at me.
A drop
I would
ship.
show up on like a helicopter, like that has a winch.
That's been
It's
drop
like
shipped.
pulling my Porsche. They would set it down in the parking lot. I would get out of the helicopter and drive it into a parking spot. Put on some aviators,
Christian,
throw on my 3-piece suit.
this is where I help you get refocused.
I was on such a roll.
I know. Get back to your work. I gave you your chance to get it out. And if you can't do it, I'll put you in the hall so you don't have distractions. It's very simple.
I mean, no, I don't want to go in the hall.
Slant asymptote doesn't affect the domain, does it?
It does not.
It's not, okay.
There's only two things that mess up that you have to take out numbers for domain. That would be square roots of negative numbers are not in the domain because they're not real. Domain implies real numbers.
Yeah,
That's not going to come up in any of these questions.
okay.
And division by zero. So whether it's division by zero and it makes a vertical asymptote or division by zero and makes a whole, both of those have to be taken out.
Okay, well, those are the only ones.
That's the only way. Yep.
Go back there.
whoa. Say things like that.
Christian, have you done 42 yet?
42, no, we're 41.
Okay.
You'd probably be on 42 if we didn't go on that rant a minute ago.
Oh, shut your mouth. Whoever said that. Okay.
I'm just messing with you. Okay.
all
I know
I
you
love,
can take
Christian.
the joke.
That reminds me of the joke. Probably not school appropriate though.
All right, let's keep it to ourselves. then.
What you need help on 42? What did you get?
The coordinates of the whole. What would you get?
You want to know what I put or how I got it?
What'd you put?
I put 3, 2.
How'd you get 2?
I got 2 by, well, I got 3 and then I plugged 3 into the reduced function.
Okay, I forgot to factor 2x minus 6. I didn't read GCF. That's where I messed up. Thank you. I got 3, 0, and then I was like, it's not going to hit there anyway, so why would it?
Yeah, if you don't reduce the function, it's going to come out to 0.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Townsend?
Comes out to 0 over 0,
Yeah,
which could be anything.
Such a good teacher, Mr. Townsend. How much have you learned, Thompson?
A lot.
What?
Well, to be fair, you guys should have learned this last year.
I don't remember anything from last year.
Okay, well,
I forgot who my teacher was. Like, I remember her face, I don't remember her name.
did you do regular or honors?
I did honors.
And it was a woman? It would probably be Miss Polson or Miss Harris.
Miss Harris, that's who it
Oh,
was.
she was not the best. Miss Harris.
No, she wasn't. But she was super chill.
Uh-huh.
I kind of goofed off a lot.
What do you do now?
Goofed off a lot.
She was my advisory teacher, but now she's like an administrator or something. So I got a new advisory teacher. Yeah.
Oh, cool. She just moved, or like 2 years ago, right?
Mhm.
2 years ago, yeah.
She still works for the district.
Here's what I got.
What did you not like about her? I
Well,
mean, from a teaching standpoint, obviously.
she kind of just like told us the answers almost. Like, she didn't really explain how to get there that much.
She wasn't very engaging. She just kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, I share answer keys with you guys, so in a way, I'm giving you the answers too.
Yeah, but you also explain how to do it.
She just
Like,
was a
she
bad
kind of just
teacher.
worked through
sort
it and
of.
then expected us to like follow along like at her pace, which was like really quick sometimes.
Which was what?
Really quick sometimes. But like I still like
You think?
I did good in the class. I like caught up. It was just like boring.
I bet you don't think it's fast after you see calculus.
I'll take calculus next year.
Different ball game.
Being major.
I love calculus, but sometimes it's not fun to teach because it is very, very fast, very stressful.
What's so funny about that?
Everything's important.
He just made it clear.
It's not no skill. It's pure luck with the ball.
This is something tough. Oh, no. Say another thing.
Slider, let's get the slider for it. Wow.
was sending something out. You didn't? Okay, so here's the thing. So, he can do this. So I'm gonna get in touch with
Do we get synthetic division for, slight acetone? Would that work?
Depends on what you're dividing by. In a question like 42, no, because you can't divide a quadratic by a quadratic the synthetic.
Yeah, I'm doing it on 44.
Technically, in 44, you could, sure. Okay, one more check-in here. Wanted to make sure I had time to ask if, or to answer your questions if you had a bunch. So, anything else y'all found 33 through 44 that I can help with? Okay, you guys still have about 11 minutes, so if you do find, yeah, go.
Sorry, it's not a question for a specific question on the assignment, but does one of these need to be done in completion by Monday, or is it both?
Which ones are you comparing? The semester test review,
These versus this one?
no, you don't have to do either one before Monday. The main thing we will do in class on Monday is your unit review, that you have the back page of. I'm going to give you time to work through the first 3 pages. Now, if you have time to do them before class, it's always beneficial because then you kind of know what you need to ask about starting class. But I will give you class time to finish the unit review. The semester test review is not technically due until the day of the final, but if you're trying to exempt, then you'll probably want to turn it in early so you don't have to show up on the final day to turn it in. So, but I will still take it up until we start the final exam. Okay, you guys still got about 10 minutes. So again, if you do find something else that I can help with, please let me know. There will still be 1, maybe 2 more full class periods I can give you on the final exam. So unless you are just not concerned about it, you've got a strong A, or you think you're going to exempt it and you're not, going to be concerned about it, then consider trying to work 5 or 10 questions a day, so that way by the time in a couple weeks you'll be basically done, other than the ones you need help with. So.
Do you have a stapler?
Sure.
What's your plans for the summer?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a cruise in Europe.
Ooh. What do you mean, we? You and your wife?
Me and my wife and my mom and my mother-in-law.
The mother-in-law? Uh-oh.
She's the one who's paying for it, so.
Ooh, the mother-in-law. Let's go. W.
Well, my father-in-law passed away like almost 2 years ago, so.
Oh.
So she invited us because,
Lonely.
I don't know, she probably wants to hang out with us. Yeah, she's probably lonely.
So she's not like the mean mother-in-law.
No.
Like, why'd you marry my daughter?
Christian, it's not usually that way.
Yeah, I know, but in the movies it is.
And then I will spend a week or two cleaning up my backyard. I have 4 brush piles to burn. I haven't mowed it since probably August of last year. I'll
Might need to
probably
brush hog
plant
it.
some basil so we can make pesto. We usually make like a year's supply of pesto to put in the freezer.
That's cool.
Pesto's
should sell
expensive. Okay, well, all I do is grow the basil. My wife is the one that makes it, and so there's no way she's gonna make it and let me sell it. So it's too much work. She hates doing it, but
You said pesto's expensive, so
It
give
is.
them like a good price.
yeah, but the labor is no fun.
Oh.
It's very labor intensive.
Well, that's what kids are for. Just hire an orphanage or something. I'm not kidding. Guys,
I don't know.
you need to see the bigger picture. Have that mindset.
Drop shipping empire.
I don't know, just random house chores, stuff
Yeah.
that needs painted, clean, stuff that I just don't want to do after I worked all day, so I wait until summer because I've got time to do it.
Nice.
Someday
So
you
boring
guys will have a
adult
job
stuff.
and you'll have 2 weeks off the whole year and you'll have to try to figure out how to make it work. But if you become a teacher, you'll at least get summers off
That is cool.
and have time to get caught up in life.
How much of your summer would you say you actually have like off though? Because I know you've got to like plan for next year and whatnot. And like, you probably have to do a little bit of stuff before
Well,
school starts.
Well, we teachers come back about a week before y'all do
Oh.
for meetings and stuff. We also usually meet like 2 days in the summer to like do some planning. But it also depends how long you've been teaching stuff. Like the year before I taught calculus for the first time, I spent 300, 400, 500 hours doing calculus work to make sure that I was caught up and ready to go. Last summer, I did like 1 day of planning with Miss Thomas. Like, here's what we did in pre-cal. What do we think would change, would be better? Where do we need to spend more time? Where do we need to spend less time? But we've been teaching it for so long that like usually 1 day is enough to like make the changes for the whole year. So.
Cool.